Hello, this video is for my Math 2413 Cal 1 class, a Winter Mini 2018-2019 4-week course. And this video is to help sort of guide you and how to kind of get started and proceed through the course. So it's very important. I think it'll save you a lot of time trying to find stuff by watching this, and we don't have a lot of time in a 4-week class. So let's go ahead and begin with this. So there's a couple of ways you can access the class, either through the My Lone Star, which actually has changed its menu once you open that up. But I'm not going to open it up from this way. I'm going to show you another way. But that'll work too. But if you just want to get in, to the course itself and not worry about My Lone Star, where you can, access other parts of your academic records and things like that, you come over here to up the top here, LSC Home, but go over here to LSC Online, click on Class Login, log into your class's alternate login right here. And I believe that's a method also that if something's wrong with that My Lone Star, you can get to the course via that way. That doesn't happen that often that there's a problem with My Lone Star, but I've had that happen. You couldn't get there that way, but you could through this sort of backdoor route here. So, all right, so let me figure out. They don't have your course up on top here, so I've got to navigate into the course. So this is it, 4M, 4-week. It's technically a spring course for registration, which you probably know since you registered for it. And here's a couple of announcements that's an important one. We'll talk about that. And I need to modify this other one, which I will. The first, hello, welcome. Yeah, that needs to be modified a little bit. But I'll do that before the class opens up later tonight. And let's see. So there's announcements. Always good to, well, obviously in this kind of class, you need to be logged in, obviously checking every day what's going on. So, well, I say, most every day, but you probably should in case there's any important announcements. And let's see. Let me go back to, if this is probably the same thing, but yeah. I forgot where they've changed this Outlook screen too. I guess it will default automatically to the announcements page. You don't have to look for it. Before you had to, when it was called news items. But anyway, I think you had to, maybe you didn't, I don't know. But number one thing right here is three things. Our content and grades is just to check your grades. And then course activities, we'll talk about that. There's one in here. This quizzes, that's going to be important. We'll see that shortly. Content's where the main show is here. I don't know what it looks like from the student's point of view now. I guess I could have changed it over to student view, but there was kind of a green button that said go or something the way it was before. I'm not sure if that's still there. So this might look a little different since we're looking at it from my perspective. I wonder if it'll let me change. Okay, view as student. So let me see how you would see it. Okay, so there are the announcements. Maybe it doesn't have that green go button anymore. So let's go back. I'll just view it from my perspective here. It's not that much different. Content. Here we go. All kinds of stuff here. And there's a link to this video. So if you're not sure about something, sometimes people ask me questions that they could have, easily have found right here if they just bothered to look. You're not going to hurt anything. I'm going to go through some of these here shortly after I run through the syllabus real quick. But I'll kind of go through these, but these are always going to be there. So you can go back to them anytime. So let's go through the syllabus. Now, when you open the syllabus here, I've got it already opened up as a PDF file. Or when you're looking at anything, not so much the syllabus or some of the quizzes or looking stuff, and you don't want to look at it in this reduced screen, you can then download it and then make it and look at it as a full-page PDF file. So you don't have to view everything like that if you don't want to. But I won't do it from here because I've already got it ready right there. So zoom in a little bit on that. Let's go back up to the top. Okay, I'm not going to bore you by reading this verbatim. But let's see what we got here. Hopefully there aren't any mistakes. Sometimes I'll have one little typo or something, but Cal 1, 2413, blah, 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 winter mini, distance learning. We have a new dean this semester. All right, so I'm not going to read all this that we're going to be learning. Now, textbook. You don't have to get this textbook. You can use any textbook you want, or I'm going to show you a way that you can access a textbook. But if you happen to have this, if you happen to, you can use my math lab. But my math lab is not required for this course, because that's usually one of the first questions I get from people, and that's understandably so. You don't have to purchase any external software, but let's just say, whatever reason, maybe you had access to this from attempting this course before, whatever the case may be. Or if you have a different calculus book, that has to be a Pearson book, though. Pearson author, not just any book. And I could possibly set up a My Math Lab. Let's say, you tried the course in the fall, maybe you didn't like the instructor, dropped it, and they were using my math lab. I can probably set you back up if you want to use it just for the resources, but it is absolutely not required. But I'm going to show you, access on any book. I'm going to show you an access to another one here shortly when I go back to D2L. But let me do this first. Graphing calculators are fine, but I do borrow a few of them. I think a TI-92 is probably obsolete, but TI-89s are the Inspire CAS. I always put those on the testing center forums not to allow those. The Inspire CX is okay, but I don't like the CAS. I don't like anything that can do algebraic type of stuff. So that's the reason why I banned that one. The CA, I don't care about what graphing features it can do and the numerical stuff. That's okay. But I don't like for it to be able to do algebra stuff. So, of course, clearing the sentence about clearing the memory, I guess that only applies to face-to-face exams, classes. So that doesn't really. All right, I have lecture notes and videos, but I just threw in the Khan Academy website there. And there's a book called the Larson book, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. CalcChat.com is a website that goes with that. All right. Yeah, sometimes I alternate. I go back and forth between this and D2L, but I'm going to go straight through this first, and then I'll go back to D2L and then kind of refer back to this. So, homework, not required, but practice is always good. In fact, these things called quizzes are actually more like homework. I have a list of suggested problems from one book, but I don't have them for other books. But if you have a different kind of book, you can just practice some problems from there. But between these quizzes and the exam reviews, the quizzes don't necessarily cover everything, but the exam reviews do. The quizzes are just kind of a subset. But, any opportunity to practice is always good. Oh, there's these 10 take-home quizzes. And I dropped the lowest 4. So, that way if you miss, so you want to do the best you can, 6 of them, but I'm not going to extend the dates or anything unless there was a legitimate error in D2L. So try not to wait to the very last second in case you're having your own computer problems. Well, that's why there are 4 drops. So, you don't want to blow them off, but you want to, that way if just something goes wrong, you're okay if you don't submit one or something, at least, grade-wise. The best 6, then, I will average those. Now, when I go to D2L, I'll show you this. So they're really not like quizzes, because mostly, I always keep threatening to rename these to homework sets, because they're more like that than they are quizzes, because you have access to the problems in advance, but you're going to go into D2L to electronically submit your answers. They're multiple choice. So it's not like the exams, which you take, in real time. In other words, you're working the questions, under a timer. Well, you have to submit these within a time period, but you're working the problems already in advance. And here's where I talk about the quizzes are really more like homework. Be careful when you're entering your answers. I usually set like a 60-minute time limit to enter 10 answers, which entering 10 answers probably won't take 10 minutes, even that long, but go slow enough that you don't. Sometimes the D2L, it won't change the questions, but I can't figure out how to make it stop it every once in a while from scrambling the order of the answers. So, for example, let's say you work a problem and you know the answer is 2.5, and let's say on the printed file of the quiz it was answer A, 2.5. In fact, they don't even use letter choices in the D2L, it's just bubbles. Well, let's say 2.5 was the 4th bubble instead of the 1st bubble. If you know the answer is 2.5, you choose 2.5, not based on the order the answers are written. So just watch for that. But with 60 minutes, 60 minutes for probably a 5-minute task. But don't race through it. So that's obviously plenty of time where you should catch the scrambling. We have 3 exams and a final. So the 3 exams will be everything's multiple choice. They're 20 questions each, and I adjust the grades a little bit for each of those and the final. And I'll talk more about that later. Obviously, your goal right now is to study and do the best you can. Don't worry about how they're going to be adjusted. The exams need to be taken in a proctor testing center, which I'll talk about that. That's also an announcement I have there too. For the first 3 exams, you're allowed to use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of notes, blank sheet. It can be lined or unlined, typed or handwritten, doesn't matter. But it's one side only for the first 3 exams, and then you're allowed both sides for the final. So let's see how we get a grade in this class. That's probably important. Okay, the final is pretty much by itself. It counts 25%. Now we have exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, and the quiz grade. I talked about that. The lowest of those 4 is going to be dropped. So often people will ask me, you're dropping the lowest exam, right? Well, technically that's not correct in the sense that you'd have to have a quiz grade to replace it. So let's say you did really well on exam 1 and 2, you did really poorly on exam 3, and you did none of the quizzes. Well, then something's going to have to count. Either the exam 3 grade would then have to count if you did none of the quizzes, because it has to be 3 of those 4. So it's not auto dropped, but like I said, it's the best 3 out of those 4. So you have to have. So that's why the quizzes are important. And because that's a chance for you to get a very good grade in there to help count as one of those best 3. That's the idea. Now, every once in a while, you have somebody whose quiz average is the low. The quiz average could possibly be dropped, but that's usually somebody who's doing like really, really well. In other words, let's say if their exams were all like hundreds and their quiz average was 95, then the quiz average would be the one that's dropped. But that's very, very rare. For most people, they need that quiz grade to count, so it's an important grade. So, all right, let's come down here. We have to now, we're required to put calendars for courses, and it's really, really tough for this many. I can't really pace you out day by day or week by week because it's only 4 weeks. So what I did is just, for example, here I literally just took, I don't know, But you don't have to follow this. That's the important thing. I just kind of made up something there to kind of show all the contents, but you know, it's don't. Oh, that one got kind of messed up, didn't it? Sorry. But you just kind of have to go with your own pace. But we're just required to use. Yeah, my long semester calendars look a little bit better, a little more organized. But it's only a 3-week course, and I couldn't really tell you how many days to do whatever. So anyway, that just had to be put there. Don't worry too much about that. All right, I'm not going to go through all this because you can read this. Let me just kind of give you some advice here, and it'll sort of. Here are the exam deadlines. You'll see these in D2L also, so you don't have to open up this file just to find out when these exam deadlines are. So 12/27. Now that's the Thursday of the second week, which is pretty far out, but I kind of did that because of the holiday. If you could take it the 26th, that would probably be better for you, just because you can get then focused on getting up with the next material. Well, because there'll be a test the next week. So see, it's up to you. I mean, if like it starts on the 17th and there's the 27th, but then the next test is the 3rd, the next week, 1 week later. I just didn't want to force. I think I have a quiz due actually on Christmas Day for those of you that celebrate that. But you know what? The quiz can be submitted before that, so it doesn't. Because in other words, you're not taking the quiz live, so you can. That's the whole thing about pacing yourself. You can look at those due dates and go, I really, really don't want to do anything on the 25th for this class. So I wanted to work a little harder in advance to provide myself that day off. That's my whole point. So I think there's a quiz due on the 25th, but do it the day before. Do it 2 days before. So those all those dates are deadline dates. They're not the day you have to do it. These are deadline dates. You could take these... theoretically, you could finish this course in a week if you wanted to. I would not recommend that, but you could, because you can work ahead if you want to. I'll talk more about the ProctorU thing later. Actually, there'll be the ProctorU though. I have a 2-day window to take the test. And I'll talk about that. That'll be an announcement also. Testing Center in Lone Star, you can do it anytime that they're open. Which that's in my announcement. That announcement's very important, so read that. I explained all that, then asked me if you're not sure about anything. There's very limited testing center hours during the Winter Mini in Lone Star, so I provided a link to their website. It's a little less, there really isn't much evening, I don't think. Now, the last week, you probably are going to be okay because this is a 4-week course. That last week, in fact, the faculty are due back, so I'll be back preparing for the spring while I'm monitoring this class. But you probably will have more available testing center hours for last week when exam 3 and the final is. But exam 1 and exam 2 are going to be the ones where, your favorite center might not be open at certain times. I may bring that link up here in a little bit, but anyway. D2L, academic calendar. Well, okay, I'm definitely not reading all this. All right, I think that takes care of the syllabus for the most part. Now I want to just show you around D2L a little bit. Anyway, but this announcement about using ProctorU or this announcement's very important. Well, I'll try to make all my announcements be important. I'm not going to make an announcement that where I'm listing out putting my Christmas shopping list on there or anything like that. So I'm not going to waste your time. But anyway, so if you want to use ProctorU, that's that paid service. I'll set up the exams. You'll deal with them. You don't have to tell me. And I mentioned this. I also said this in this announcement that you don't have to tell me what you're doing. Proctor U, Lone Star Testing Center. The only time I would have to be involved here is if you're using an outside testing center, which I also mentioned in this announcement. A lot of the ones probably aren't going to be open during that first 3-week period. It's like I said, when they shut down classes, it's going to be very limited. But I did mention also, if you're reporting back to a university or something, that last week you may have a chance of somewhere like UT or A&M, Sam Houston, just whatever. I'm not going to list a bunch of them, but could already have reopened back up after the holiday. So if you were going back to school, you could possibly take your exams the last week there, but I don't think you're going to have much access to an outside testing center, especially maybe the beginning of this next week or this first week of class, but then I'm not sure exactly when the Lone Star system goes on break, but it's like a couple of weeks. But like I said, the testing center's open, sort of limited hours there. But in fact, let's just see. Just pop this up real quick here and let's see what happens here. So scroll down, you can look December 17th and January 3rd. So after January 3rd, which may be they're limited, then there'll be more full hours. I'm thinking about, like I said, I may make that test that was going to be due on the 3rd. I may make it, the 4th won't matter that much because Friday they're never open late anyway. So I was thinking about maybe I'll extend it a day, but I don't think that's going to accomplish much because they're open about the same hours on Friday they're going to be. Is this? Well, I would double check with your favorite testing center here because I got a feeling this is not correct. And I certainly, if I see anything, because sometimes they'll put out specific hours. I don't think this is right because this looks like it's normal testing hours. So this is. Oh wait, here we go. You probably saw this before I did. Adjusted hours by location. Let's see if that's. Oh, there we go. Jackpot. All right, that's perfect. So that's what we need. I'm glad I did open this. So now you can kind of see. Boy, look at some of them and what days. Let me check the exam dates here again. Got to make sure you have access. 12/27. Okay. Yeah, so you see 12/27, the ones in blue, they're all like 9 to 2. So like I said, they're only, so if you can't do that, you're probably going to need to do Proctor U. And let's see what goes. So Cy-Fair looks like, they can get them all in there that are open. Cy-Fair, Kingwood, Montgomery, North Harris. North Harris confuses me because they have 2 different testing centers, so you may have to, it's up to you to figure that out. I don't know. Oh, they put the room down here, so SSB 105. Tomball, University Park. Oh, it looks like just none of the centers. It's only the main campuses that have it on that day. So none of the centers, but if the centers are open other times, because the exams are sent to every one of these places, but obviously you can't access that one. Okay. The 3rd, regular hours resume on the 3rd. Well, that's terrific. So if you did need to take one later in the day, that's the deadline for that one. So that's good news. Okay, so really it's just the first exam that you're kind of hindered on. So, if you wanted to take it, so like the 27th, or I suggested if you wanted to take it the 26th, if you want to choose that one, looks like this one. Which one is this one? Cy-Fair? Looks like Cy-Fair. Yeah, Cy-Fair is not an option for you to take it in the 26th. Remember, I was mentioning that earlier in case, because, if you don't want to fall behind on the material, because you really don't need that much time in a mini class for that first unit, so I don't want you'll be scrambling a lot harder. But that's okay. Do what you got to do. But But the 26th then looks like all these other ones then are at least open on the 26th. But I mean, unless you just feel really, really, really ambitious and you want to try to get it done by Friday or Saturday of the first week, but you can just see that then that the 24th and 25th obviously is closed for all locations, and the 26th is for Sci-Fair. So here's your roadmap. So that's only going to affect one test. So that's outstanding news. All right, so I can go back to what happened. Where was I? Okay, I can go back to here. So it's just that one exam. I was thinking it might affect 2 exams before I looked into it. So glad I looked into it with you. So remember, all these links are at the testing center. The one we just looked at. The syllabus will sit there anytime you need to look at it. The course intro video. This, I don't do this for every the other exams. Just go through the review, but I do it for the final. This file tells you every type of problem that's going to be on the final. It does not give you the equations or any numbers, but it describes the problem. That means it tells you, what the question's going to be on here. I know you don't know what this is necessarily yet, but mean value theorem for derivatives. So hey, that's going to be on the test. So when you're preparing for the final, then that means on the final exam review, there's going to be some questions that aren't on this list. Because what I do is I kind of create my review for the entire course. That allows me from different semesters. I could go in and maybe one semester I want to throw out mean value theorem for derivatives and put something else in. That means it would still be on my review and students could still study it. So obviously you don't have to work the entire final exam review. You just want to find questions that relate to those topics. So it's funny, like in a 16-week course, that'll be there sitting there the entire time. And I've even mentioned it in the video. Then like a week before finals, I didn't know that was there. I said, yeah, it's been there since day one. This kind of is a file. If I'm not sure, when I go through the process here, I want to show you this quiz entry thing myself here in a second. And then that's so you can look at that. This one's always a very common question. So you have to. People ask me, but this is a file you can refer to that you can just open up and it shows you how to do that. I'll just bring it up for a second. So there's always stuff here that, people just kind of forget that's there and never go look at. So you're not going to hurt anything by clicking on it. The only thing you don't want to do is open up a quiz until you're ready. But so you see this is going to be this drop down arrow, and you'll click on submissions. But I'll go back to that in a minute because it is confusing. And once people see how to do it, then it's easy. But it confused me the very first time I was starting to work with D2L. So you have that as a reference. This Khan Academy, this some algebra and trig review, a bunch of other stuff. Now, this file right here that I labeled other resources. This is kind of going back to what I was talking about books earlier in the syllabus. You'll click on this, and it's a big file. This is a PDF of a very old version of the Larson book, meaning you can use this as a book if you like. In fact, my notes are based on, my section numbers are based on this book. You can study from whatever book you want. But my notes are, the section titles and everything are based on this book. All those section numbers are based on that. So that's there for you. So that could help with the book issue. And then this, so if you're, here's a practice list of problem. Once again, this is not the quiz. Just, I realize in a short class your time is limited, but hey, if you can practice something, or especially try to practice something you're struggling with, would be good. But these are just strictly suggested problems. You don't submit any of those. You don't turn those in. I'll show you the quizzes. That's what you turn in. And there's a link here that's called Calc Chat right here. That's a web link. That's a website for this Larson book. You have a little index there, a little thing, drop down arrow. When you open it up, that you pick what book. So you pick Larson 9th, and you'd pick what, it's basically a solutions manual for the odd problems in the book. So you can, it may not show every step, so obviously you could ask me a question if you weren't sure, you could email me, but it's better than just giving the answer in the back of the book. You know, it shows you, well, I guess I could just pick something real quick here. But it's only for the odds. So if you were trying some of those homework and you wanted to check, so here's calculus and 9th edition. There it is right there, see? Click on that. And then chapter, so I'll just pick chapter 2, section 4. I'm just going to make up a number here. Exercise, I don't know, 17. And you see it shows, instead of just the answer, it shows a little bit of work behind it or whatever. So there you go. So that goes along with that PDF file of that book. So it's amazing what kind of fun stuff you can discover, you know, clicking around in here. All right, so, okay, what do we got here? Okay, let's go over here, some other stuff here. The lecture notes. Got all my notes here. And they're grouped by exams. So if you want to know, hey, what sections are exactly going to be on exam 1? They would be under the content of exam 1 notes. So that's how you know exactly what's on each exam. And yes, that is correct. There's a section from chapter 3, but you see it's got the word limit in it, so it ties in. I wish they would have had this in with that section, but that's okay. I just moved it from the other section. So that means everything's self-contained and organized for you. There's no mystery, no surprises. And if anything was going to change, or I was going to omit something, or, I mean, anything, it wouldn't be severe change, but I would absolutely provide that in a Blackboard announcement. Blackboard, sorry. That's what I use for U of H. D2L announcement. Exam 2, so you see, here they are for exam 2. I don't know why, okay. I don't know why 3.9. It's no big deal. It's not in this order technically. Let me just drag this down a little bit. And yeah, we're not doing 3.8, so I'll just put it down here at the end. Actually, that material, you know, could have been done at that point where it was listed, but I think it'll flow better this way. Exam 2, I just have some old exam pre-cal notes in there. I have some Cal 2 and Cal 3 notes that you're welcome. Say if you're going back somewhere else and you just go in there and you can just download each of those files as PDF. I don't know, I'd probably wait till after the course is just because, you know, you just spend your time focusing on the material now. I'd wait till, I forgot when the course ends, but it usually ends like, I don't know, it might be open a day or so. So let's say you take that final at the end of the 4th week. You could probably go in there that weekend and download all these files if you wanted them. You just got to go in there, and where I showed you earlier, where where you can click on the download, that it dumps as a PDF, and then save it. Notes are organized by exam. I have exam reviews. And not always, let's see. That's videos. Where are they printed? Oh, they're 2 separate files here. So yeah, I have videos. Okay, well, let me go with PDF files first. Here are the PDF files. So these, where it says like sample problems for exam 1, that's just the file itself. And then it has a key at the end of it. So if you want to try them yourself, you can then work. And that's probably a good way to try to study, obviously. Don't just study my written answers. If all you're doing is just looking at my answers, you're not going to learn anything. But then I have a file where I work the problems out. So you see exam 1, exam 2, all the way down to the final. Videos. And So you see that. So what the video is, it's just me verbally explaining my written solutions on those other files. I have them in certain blocks because I was having issues with the software at the time, and it was getting frustrating. Sometimes I get tired of talking too, but I do. It would be awful if I do a bunch of it and somehow the file crashed or something went wrong. So if I did them in segments, I'd do a few at a time. That way, I guess I could actually go back and edit that software or edit these files and merge it into one thing or whatever. But it's not that big a deal. So if you were just looking, hey, I want to see it just for number 46 or something, that way you only have to open up this file. So maybe this is actually better. I don't know, but the first one is all. You see, it says all, so it's got all. It's for all the problems. So I've got the reviews, exam reviews, and lecture videos. I got videos of me explaining my notes. Oh yeah, I organized the other day. I had them just one continuous list from beginning to the end, but now I grouped them by exam. And when I did that, they put them out of order here. So I'll have to go through and I'll rearrange these and move like 1.2 is your first section. So I'll put them in the same order as they are with the notes. So that's an easy fix. No harm, no foul there. So I have lecture videos. You can listen to me explain them. And let's see, I think all we're going to do now is just take a look at the quizzes. Then I think we're set here. One more thing before I do that, so I don't mention due dates. Let me go back over to the home page and see if that's going to show me the calendar. There's a D2, I know I put those dates, D2L calendar. This is very, very, very important. Very important. This on the right here shows you the due date, so pay attention to these. Don't send me some email the next day. I forgot that we had something due that day or whatever. So as I was talking about earlier, I knew there was a quiz due on Christmas Day, but like I said, you can just have it worked out and submit it early. If you like, so this is your guidance. I had on the syllabus had the exam due date, the exam dates. So once again, these are due dates. They don't have to mean, things can be done earlier. Now, the exams are password protected. See, the proctor will enter the password for you. The quizzes are not password protected. So it should be all. There's quiz 4, quiz 5. Here comes another exam, 7, 8, and there's more. And then, so everything is over there. So get you, mark you up a little calendar in your study desk there and have everything written out for you, or however you like to do it. You can use probably a reminder in your phone or whatever. So there's no excuse not to know when something is due. None. Like I said, if something should change and it would never go backwards, it would go forward in time, I would announce that. So content. All right, so, okay. Quizzes. Down here at the bottom. These are the PDF files. So here's what you do. You open this up. You work these out to the best of your ability. Each quiz has 10, so that's consistent. At least we know, what we're going to have. So one doesn't have 8, and one of them doesn't have 15, and 10 problems. So you work those out. Make sure you finish it. Okay, so that's why it's like homework more than it really is a quiz. But so you come back under here. When you're ready to submit it, you go to quizzes. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to scroll down here for a minute, show you. Okay, there, well, some of these are 16th, some of these are 17th, but everything will be open by Monday morning. It should all be kind of more in time order or whatever. But so you see how the exams have these padlocks next to them because they're password protected, but the quizzes are not. So do not click on this until you're ready to submit your answers. You click on it. And, oh, it'll be different from your point of view. Crowd, okay. Let me look at it. Maybe I can either change it to student mode. Yeah, this is not going to work here. I think you'll have some button that'll say Start Quiz. And I think if I change this from my view, if I change it to Preview, I think it'll sort of maybe look like what you'll see more than what that just did. Okay, this looks like it's more like, yeah, how you should probably see it. So you see there's 1 hour. Literally at that point, you should be. Now keep in mind, let's just say that you got to open it before the deadline. All the quiz deadlines are at 10 p.m. I mentioned in the announcement on ProctorU, and I'll go and just say this right now in the video, the exam deadline is 11 p.m., but I mentioned in ProctorU, though, you must make an appointment time by 10 p.m. because I'm not saying it takes an hour, but it takes a little bit of while to set them up, get the exam set up. I think you have to show your webcam around the room and make sure there's not somebody hiding in the closet to give you the answers or something. I don't know. But it takes a little bit of time to get set up. And that way, an hour is more than enough time. Then that way, when they open up the test, it'll still be available. Somebody did not heed that warning not too long ago, and they fell behind, whatever, and tried to make an appointment like at 10:45, and by the time they were set up, the exam expired. And I didn't let them take the exam because it was their fault. It wasn't like if ProctorU had done something wrong. But they showed me the chat log on when the student checked in and everything, and there's no doubt that's the student's fault if you wait that late because it takes a few minutes. So if you're using ProctorU and your mindset, it's 10 p.m., no later, appointment time. You can do it any time that day. Obviously, you don't have to wait till 10 p.m. That's not what I mean. That's just the latest appointment time. But the quizzes have to be opened before the deadline, then you have the full 60 minutes. So let's say you've done 7 out of 10. You're running behind on a quiz or something. You want to work 7 out of 10. Open the quiz before the deadline. Bubble in those answers. And then technically you still have 60 minutes to try to do those other 3 once it's already open. And you can see maybe you can get a couple more right or whatever. Do not wait past the deadline to open it up. At least get it open. Bubble in the ones you know. Then you can finish. Ideally, you want to have them all done. That's the perfect scenario. But let's see. So I click Start Quiz. So you go through here. See the bubbles? Yeah, I was talking about. Oh, they do. I'm sorry. They do say A, B, C, D. I thought they were just bubbles. My fault. But I mentioned this earlier in the video. Remember I said in case the answer's scrambled? They might not be in this order. You're looking for whatever you know the right answer to be. So don't try to be cool, I'll see if I can do this in 30 seconds, B, A, B, C, D, B, A, C, no. You look at each question carefully for the value of the answer. The numbers aren't changing in the problem, just the order might. So please watch for that. But that's with 10 problems, that should not be. Then you click Submit, and then it'll give you your grade. You're able to view the quiz 1 hour after that deadline. So if that means if you take it early, all you'll see is your grade. So you probably go, I took this quiz, I made a 90, I want to know which one I missed. You have to wait until, let's say you took it a day before, you have to wait. So if it's 10 p.m., so the first one's the 21st at 10 p.m. So you might do it on the 19th or something. You can see the score, but you can't look at it until 11 p.m. on the 21st. That way somebody can't just, obviously if people share information with each other, that's fine, but I don't want to just be providing the answer key myself. So for obvious reasons. So I'm going to exit the preview. Sometimes I'll go through and bubble through this and just get a grade for the heck of it. I didn't this time. But here's the part about viewing the quiz, and that's on that, you can look at that file I showed you earlier in the syllabus folder, how to view a quiz. I'm going to show you real quick. Like I said, this threw me off years ago. So you click on this thing, the blue part, to activate the quiz, and it still stays blue even after it's done if you've submitted it. So it seems logical that you would click on that again, but that's not correct. You have to click on this drop-down arrow. Oh, it doesn't show it from my point of view here. Well, anyway, that's okay. You can look at that file. I'll just tell you. It'll say submissions or whatever. It'll say submissions, and you click on it, and it'll say view attempt or something like that. Once you click on this drop-down arrow, that's the key. I think you'll figure it out from there, no problem. I guess I could look at that file, obviously, and show you that real quick, but yeah. So it's not just clicking on the quiz itself. That's not gonna open it up for you to look at. Yeah, I believe it's submissions. I know it's submissions, then view attempt. And let's see, where was it, right? Yeah, reviewing quiz and exam submissions. So yeah, individual attempts. You only have that one attempt, so you click on that, and then boom, it'll show you. So if you only missed one, you then be able to see which one you missed and what the right answer was supposed to be. So, okay, let me just look at the homepage one more time. I think I said everything I needed to say in this video. I'm sure you're tired of listening to this, but. So I hope it goes well. I will say that in previous semesters, this class has been pretty good. In fact, some semesters often it's done better than my long semester classes, which might seem surprising. But part of that could be because if you're only focused on one activity, one course versus other stuff, maybe it's easier to focus because it sounds like it'd be worse. Like, well, I wouldn't keep teaching this course if it was a 80% failure rate. I would just say, no, it's too depressing. But I mean, it doesn't mean everybody will get through, but it's usually pretty high success rate. So, well, obviously you still got to work hard, but it doesn't make it, no, it's for most people hasn't made it worse being in 4 weeks than it was in 16. So, all right, I think that's going to conclude this video, and I hope we have an enjoyable 4 weeks here. So just, I'm not really going to be available. I think I have my office phone number syllabus. It'll be hard to find me, but obviously, emails, whether it's to my Lone Star email or if you're sending me a message through while you're in D2L, you can mail that way too, obviously. So, with that being said, don't let the 874 new emails scare you, because now they've created a way to where, but this wasn't true before, but D2L emails also get forwarded to my Lone Star email, so I don't have to check them. I used to have to open up D2L to check those emails, but now they forward, so I've been able to, these messages all were just forwarded to my regular email. And that concludes this video.